Yes, people. Good evening, good night, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Again, let me welcome you to this another episode of the Sadi Chris Show, and hopefully that you will be in with me tonight. Guess what, people? I know that it's a Wednesday night, and I'll always be at air Wednesday night. Wednesday night was scheduled for educational night, but what's going on? Sports, the Olympics, and I've not yet touched the Olympics. But guess what, people? The hot topic going around in Jamaica, people. What surrounds the Reggae Boys coaching or the coaching appointment of a particular coach. News I got to understand, I get to understand that news broke of the whole selection or the announcement of the coach, but I have not yet get that concretized by my source. And of course, you know where I'm at. But the whole set about it, people. Tonight, I want to look at how will this coach manage in Jamaica because it has been um, well documented, and we have talked about this all the while that this coach will be an overseas coach, yes, more so an English coach. But I want to look at how will this coach negotiate, yes, the whole aspect of coaching in Jamaica. Yes, that's what I want to look at tonight, and you can join in. Jeremiah, blessings, bro. Sorry, Chris. I mean, Jeremiah, respect, man, respect. But people, a lot of things going on, a lot of things. But before I really start, I want to share something with you, people. And I'm going to share this. As I say now, sometimes it may be still news. I think it is. But the way Sorry, Chris do history, me still already, people. I just like to put these things into perspective. Yes, I want to put these things into perspective. But before I actually say anything, this was what I got from my source today, early today. But unfortunately, I couldn't have make mention. Jeremiah, if you want to join the show, see the link in there, just click on it and come share with me now. Yeah, man, blessings. And anybody, trust me, as me say as well, make sure you like and share the content. But this was what I get early today, people. Early today. And so, just to share with you. All right? So, this is what came into me. Wow. I got this, people. Look at the time. And look at who said it. The great Paul out of England, people. So, I got this earlier today. And I can tell you, when I get my sources from England, they're almost right. I will give them 90% accurate, my sources. So, that's what I. Now, just to say, and I got about 3 or 4 calls today, 3 of which is from overseas. And the question they were asking me, these are football fans, football fans from, regular Jamaica, of course. But the question they're asking, where and how did I get my information about Steve McLaren being one of the Reggae Boys coach that, the JFF is looking at? And let me coin it another way. I'm not sure, people, but I can safely say, and I strongly believe you can correct me, because many of you are out there in YouTube land. As it relates to Steve McLaren, people, I think the Saudi Crest show was the first, yes, to broke that news that Steve McLaren is not just one of the 5 shortlisted coaches, but is one that the JFF is looking seriously to employ. The Saudi Crest did broke that, and I have never seen it anywhere on YouTube, and I've never seen it on mainstream media. There were doubters on that night, yes, and I could understand. But let me tell you something, people. The fact that I got that information, and I did remember, I said at that show that don't be surprised if JFF have get any late entry as it relates to application. Yes, I did say that. And they were late entry. But put that to say, I'm not sure if I could safely say that Steve McLaren is the Reggae Boys head coach. I'm not sure if I could say that. But it is very important that we recognize the 1st of August. You wonder why, right? It's very important because the 1st of August, or should I say by the 1st of August, this is where I first heard about Steve McLaren. Yes, Jeremiah, that is true. And, I really appreciate my sources. As a young upcoming journalist, I may say I can't really disclose these sources. But the truth of the matter is, there are a lot more things that I could have said, yes, as it relates to these coaches or the appointment. A lot more. But I try my very best to ensure that whenever I bring about a story or information, it is 99% accurate. Sometimes I take the chance with a 90%. But for the most of the time, people, I am ensuring that accuracy and validity is important in those stories. Now, people, Steve McLaren, 63-year-old, yes, 63-year-old England manager, Englishman. I am not sure if he has ever spent any time in Jamaica, people, especially during the summer. But I can imagine that the climate here, I'm not sure how much it will favor Steve McLaren. But if you get what I'm saying. And not just Steve, but, you know, for many other persons coming out of that side of the world. Now, it is expected for me, people, that the coach who takes over this Reggae Boys job needs to live in Jamaica. They need, a matter of fact, not just the coach, but his entire backroom staff. So I am hoping, and I will say this to the powers that be. Let me call out my very good friend, Sir Speed, Mr. Chung, and also my crickets. Ensure that whatever it is, ensure people at all times that this coach and the coaching staff have proper living accommodation here in Jamaica. If you remember the days of Ernest Moores, how much time he spent here, you can just imagine. And that would have given the Reggae Boys, the local footballers, the local fans, a whole lot to think about, a whole lot to see, a whole lot to discuss as it relates to coaching. Because there will be times, yes, and going forward, it's just a 2 years contract, I suppose, that this coach will get. Because what all JFF needs right now, people, is somebody to take the team to World Cup. That's all JFF needs. It is a given too that many of us, fans, bloggers, whatever you want to call it, what we are looking forward is for the team to go to the World Cup. Am I right? Jeremiah, what you say? Anything after that, Abrata. So therefore, it's highly possible that Steve McLaren rather, is not the man for the long-term job. It's not the long. That is my take, But if he goes to the World Cup and really do well, then maybe there's another, yes, another level of contract, maybe another 4-year contract will be coming up. So for this Reggae Boys, what did I say now? The road to US, the road to Canada, the road to Mexico. To gain any level of success, we need a coach that resides in Jamaica. If you're agreeing with me, yeah, if you disagree, you can let me know, people. Yeah, man. The truth is, as much as we have the influx of players from overseas, yes, a whole lot of players. And we talk about US base, we talk about English base. And I'm gonna touch something about these English-based players, because I hear some stories going around people, and honestly, I would love for people to really get serious. Yes, we can criticize, but let us criticize with much more maturity. Yeah, man. Let's criticize with maturity, people. So Jeremiah is saying it has been nice about that Joby McInnes is his assistant. Wow. I'll come into that later on, Jeremiah. I'll come into that. I don't want to hit it right now because I want to say a few things about some other coaches that were mentioned. Yes? So I'm coming to that. But saying that to say, people, a coach who resides in the country to which he coach is very, very important for the development of the football. And as much as we're just saying World Cup, but it's more, how will we reach World Cup, people? Tell me how. How will we reach World Cup? But the important thing in this is to ensure that the accommodation for the coach or the coaching staff is proper. And I will go further to say second to none. People, we cannot listen me no man. Be careful. That lateness thing where you're depend. Listen, you have to go do better, Yeah, man. As the class monitor, you have to do better than that. I never put up this one, but I want to ensure that Jeremiah seeing posts. Yeah, man. This is where I first heard about it, man. All right. So, sorry, Chris, what's the news 1 week ago? Yeah, man. Blessings. But people, if it is that Halgrims was here and he was so uncomfortable that he gave up that apartment and started traveling from Iceland to Jamaica whenever he have assignment. We can't work so people. And you wonder why the whole chemistry of the team was like that. You wonder why the communication in the whole setup is like that. I could have said this long time ago that this coach Algrimson was uncomfortable. As a matter of fact, I said it long time, weeks after he arrived here. When I came out and I said, why it takes the Icelander to come and say to Jamaica that our fields, our surface is bad. From he said that, people, I know that he was uncomfortable. Long time. But you see, as me say now, we have to look into, there's a saying that read between the lines. And the message was out. But because we are not so attentive, we are not so assertive, yeah, we don't see these little things. But I urge the JFF this time around, be close with the coach, be close with the program. Yeah, man. Don't let it be that we out there speculating after we spot some little things and you never see it. I will say to the JFF, yes, as a staff, make sure you're working on the same page. Man say he had better when they ask about the food. You can imagine. Well, nothing is wrong with that still. Because everybody are gonna like a particular cuisine, a particular food, wherever them go. And when me come at some people country, I'm not like on food. Yeah. You know, really like them food, but it's just the nature of how things are. So if you never like the food, that's fine. It's up to him now to decide how will he feed himself. But back to the business at hand, people. It is very important, very, very important that the JFF gets something somewhere comfortable for the coach. And I will say right now to Mr. Chung, this is where I'm saying, you should have been doing this long time ago, but we're looking partnership. The JFF needs to have at least 3 resorts in this country, 5-star resort, all inclusive hotel, seeking sponsorship from these hoteliers. It means, people, the sponsorship you're looking at is to just give the coach or the coaching staff access to living and their property. That's all we are. That is the sponsorship. That's one of my suggestions. It may sound easy, but it's not far off. You could say it more diplomatic. Me agree, but as a man feel, as I feel. How long Steve signed for? Well, as I say, I've seen that they have signed a 2-year contract, and I'm still awaiting that concrete story, people. I'm not discouraging it because I've seen it in the print media that he have signed a 2-year contract. But I'm just waiting for my little source to say, hey, this is it. Paul probably watching it now. Guess what, people? I'm going to ask him if he can come now. Paul is basically, I'm not sure Paul is in England right now. Spoke to him yesterday. He was out working outside of England. He sent me some information today too, but so let me see if I can get him on as quickly as possible. But the long and short about it, people, if the JFF can get one hotel in Kingston, yes, one in Montego Bay, one in Ochires. If you just get 3 hotels, people, for them to provide that. So remember, the coach might not live there every day. But that is what we want, to ensure so that he has comfortable accommodation. It's a Paul call the shots. Let me see if I can get it though. We'll add it. But look at the time now. What time is it now in England? Boss. Be mindful now, Paul, as a man where. But I know he's busy. I'm still gonna try since you're requesting. Yeah, man. Who is this texting now? Hold on a second, people. Yeah, man. So, Paul, join me if you can, no boss. Please join. All right. So, in reality, let's say in reality, this the highest profile coach JFF hire. Hmm. Honestly, I don't know how to say that one, RR, because uh, Al Gribbs have already coached in the World Cup. Yes, so you have some profile there. Schaefer was a big profile coach, so I don't think he's the highest one. No, I wouldn't say that. I don't think he's the highest one. Yes, CV wise, to some extent. All right, so back to the argument, people, and you can join. Remember, let me put the link again, people. We need it. We need the communication. If it is, just if it is that we want for the coach to comfort, I think the accommodation, yes, can be sorted out through hoteliers. All right, the accomplishment. I saw bring up all the accomplishment for Steve Boyz. Yeah, Steve McLaren. Sorry. Sorry about that here, man. It's a challenge, but tosh. All right. And let's bring it up for you. So you're saying that to get a term with the 3 Lions. Oh, normal, no normal. Yes, and I don't think he did well. Don't think he did all that well. But again, not everybody is able to manage big teams. Yeah, man. Dan, what's up? Sorry, Chris, your podcast was the first one that mentioned this coach. However, your podcast is like a breath of fresh air. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and I try to be real, yeah, and clean my boss. So thank you very much, man. So as we are saying, as I am saying, related to that, it's very important that our coach or the coaching staff, if we are taking them from, yeah, that far land, from first world, as much as we are a third world country, we can provide first world accommodation. The people them from the third world country rush come to Jamaica for with accommodation, with food, with music, with sports, for everything. So JFF just not leave those little things out of people. May I tell you, may I beg you, JFF, ensure that we carry the right things. Ensure that we do it right. There's another thing that I want the JFF to do, people. And I would love for the JFF to publish the financial arrangements or the salary package for the new coach. You see, these are things that I believe in, people. As a nation, we need to be a part of it. Don't leave me, and others to speculate. Yes, to say that Steve is getting $1 billion a year. I don't know me say that. Or he's getting two, or he's getting $3 billion. That is not wise. But say Steve will attract more sponsors. And let me tell you, people, yeah, you think Jamaicans easy, whether in the diaspora or local. We like this type of showpiece. We like the international scene. There's another thing I want to say, but I'm going to leave it off this show. I'm not going to say it tonight. Well, why may I get all them foolish something? Okay. All right. Plenty them arguing. No, I don't know why. Things will start coming up, or trust me. So anyway, so that I first sponsorship we need to look on the hoteliers. All right. It is with my view as well that whenever the reggae boys travel around the country, their accommodations should be of such as well. And I'm saying this to you again, JFF, and to people, my fans. I strongly believe that our boys, the reggae boys, the reggae girls, wherever they are, they must always be comfortable. This football is a big business. Look, you see our chest high, people. I want to be can tell the Jamaicans chest high now. The way our chest high, we're not looking at getting political so-called no name coach. We have to get somebody with big name. That's why we are here. So if you want big name, you need to provide big service or services. But if you remember, Paul kind of say this man not doing for the big gains. Not so many words. Yes, Paul have some insights with it. And what I will say too, as long as he's not doing for the big gains, I really believe that he wants a new beginning. He's 63 years old. It's time now for him to show the world that he has something in him. So if McLaren should come in and carry Jamaica to our World Cup, people, a big thing that for him CV, big thing for English football, big things for Jamaica, big things for the world. You think I joke? And don't forget that this very same Steve McLaren, he was on Nigeria's radar as well. Yes. And I will give him maximum respect if he chose Jamaica over Nigeria. I hope that is the case and not Nigeria chose somebody else over him. But that would have given me a lot of things to say that this man really interested in the job. If he's the one who chose Jamaica over Nigeria, wonderful. Thumbs up to him. Yes, that's what I would say. But I always say to people, every single individual need to look for themselves first. You have to think self. And I use this argument to kind of, see if I can equate some arguments that I heard in the sporting fraternity, especially as it relates to Jamaicans football. And if we really want to go forward, people, we know we have to unite for these 2 years, ensure that we reach our World Cup. So once we can continue to hit some shots at the JFF, yeah, and bring them to the books, ensure that we hold them accountable, we need to rally around the team, rally around the squad. Because anybody know what it for. And I was prepared to work and to follow this thing with any coach because we need a coach. And if that's the coach is selected or employed by the JFF, I mean, it makes no sense we make noise. We should have been making noise long time ago to come out and say for us to be a part of the, not the selection, but be a part of the system that we said, listen, yea or no. So you can put in JFF that, yes, we don't so much like that coach because of rare, because of that. And the technology we are and the internet is so wide and far, people. We get all the information that we want and every and anybody. But one thing I will say, if JFF don't want to disclose the salary, you know what will happen? The English media will disclose it because Steve could have bad like bull. He might find it difficult to hide it when the English media start to interrogate him. So, Mr. Speed, you better put it out early. Put it out early, all right? Yes. Now, the other argument I want to come to, because what I'm trying to do, and fans, I want to understand, you don't have to agree with me, but I want you to just look at my point of view. Give me yours and let us discuss it. I hear the story you're talking about the whole aspect of too much English-based players or foreigners who are not Jamaicans. I want to put some equity, yes, to that. I want to tell you people, I want to say this to you, that anybody who qualifies to play for Jamaica and is good enough, we need to take them. I understand the fact that when you do that, our own locals are not being developed. No, so really. Yes, because if it is that you expect them, it is when they go to World Cup or World Cup qualified and develop, that's again a non-argument. They can't develop here. They have to have something, quality, to reach this stage. So, we just leave you with that. Say, development of football not deal with World Cup qualifier, World Cup. Trust me. So, the big argument that people have said too much international, too much English based, we need more local. If you check worldwide, people, if you check worldwide and look at some of these European countries, many of these players were not born or grow there. They were not. Check out Euro the other day and we see. Look at Spain. Look at our own. Listen, away probably from Mexico. Because I was trying to do a little research. I'm not completed it. But Mexico may be one of the countries in the CONCACAF region who probably have most players who are born and grow in Mexico. But check it out, people. Most of the other countries, they were born and live and grown somewhere else. But they have Mexican parents or grandparents. And they are doing well. You're nobody over no Spain and them place they are talk about. Yes. I wonder if you know this. I want to check this one. As I've mentioned, Spain. Laporte, that's his name? Or Laporte? Used to play for Man City. He's playing for Spain, right? Is he Spanish? Was he born in Spain? That's what I should ask. Was he grew up in Spain? Mark, he was born in another big football country. But it seems like he never think he would be able to make that team. So he transition and moved to Spain. Star in a Spain side. So nobody come with the argument, people. We need to leave that alone about too much English based player and foreigner. And anytime we start, because look here, the reality of it, maybe this is what I say, but my take, the reality of it, if we should take a squad of local based players, you just tell me where we will end up. Tell me, we have not reached anywhere near the lower levels of some of these countries where these boys are playing. So there's no way, absolutely no way where our local base players would be able to take us there. The most embarrassing thing to me and that doing of people, I heard some people calling those players English reject. That's I think that's tough. While I understand why they are saying English reject or England reject, but people, are you saying to me because them never go in an England team, them say Jamaica, so England reject them? I know reject England never reject them. The harsh reality, how many players can play for one team? You believe, people, if Ryan Sterling was a Frenchman, got the opportunity to go and play for France as opposed to England, which country you think he would have go? Tell me, which country you think he would have go? He'd probably go France because there will be a greater opportunity to do well or do better with a French team than with an England team. As it relates to Jamaica and England, which team you think or which country would give the player better opportunity? We just have to understand the harsh reality, people. And if you want to continue calling England reject, don't watch them play for Jamaica. Don't watch them. That's just my take. Again, we remember in the 98 campaign, yes, it was mostly local players who made it through the qualifiers. But remember, at one stage, people, we couldn't go any further. We don't remember them something. We were buck. And so JFF decided that they need to move further to get support. And they went into England. Hey. All right, all right. I'm gonna. You see, I'm trying to edit my boss. All right, so I will post it tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll post it. All right. Oh Lord, respect, Mr. Evans. So people, these are the little things that we need to look at. When Paul Hall, Dan Burton, and those guys came to Jamaica, the things step up a notch, people. Remember Dan Burton would come and we call him one a match or so? 1-in-1. Because every match it was just scoring and can't have score. I will win so many games 1-0. Remember at one stage our star baller people was fooling around. Let me not call any name. Which of the camp now, boss? Where will the camp be? Which camp? Well, as we say, I still have some more information to get, my boss. before I can talk about that. All right. Oh, that's me have something I do. So hold on. If that me have something for the talk for. Hold on. Totally forget. So I asked me to check out something. I have it, but I know a computer I do this. So I just now go through there. All right. Reggae boys, 80% of the players are in Europe. All right. So you're saying that 80 Reggae boys, 80% of the players in Europe. Not just European, remember, so we have some in the US too. But 80%, yeah, you could say that. So it'd be smart keep a few camps in England. Well, who knows? Who knows? And I think so too. But remember, so we won't be playing any games in England. So we need to get camps in environment that are close to where we'll be playing. That I think we need to do. All right? Yes. So, da, 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 da. I try to put up something from this thing and say, all right, let's see. All right. 1 second. All right. So, I'm going to put up this now, people. 2021. No, honestly. Some accomplishment. The coach has what RR. So. All right. So, that's what I'm trying to get out. Just 1 second. See with me, computer, I move away. Channel. Computer, I move away. All right. All right. I'm getting there. Yeah. So, back to you now. If not camps, some sort of social players gathering. Well, let's see, no? Let's see. But people, if it's a situation that I mentioned camp, I just looking at this now. If it is that Steve McLaren was announced today, I'm just wondering if he was in Jamaica or if he's in Jamaica. Well, the press conference not do yet still, you know. So anything can happen. And does Steve come with his own staff? May I come to you, my boss? That is some other stories that we need to get. I have not gotten anything out of that yet. But when I got the information that Steve is coming, I heard that he will come in with his own backroom staff. And that's why I was saying that he got a cost up somewhere about 1.5 to $2 billion. Yes? For Steve and his backroom staff. People may watch one like a friendly at the same time, you know. Why, Manu under one love. Real Betis have Manu 1-0. And me goodly Liverpool win 2-1 not so long ago. All right. So with that said, Steve McLaren is expected to come with his backroom staff. All right. All right. Let me see if we can use this. I don't know if this will be good enough, people, because me I tried. I had something that I put on the system and somehow we just not work. You know, they make me feel that I put all these things together to come up and now. But this is where I get the source from. They say happy house lot set up him team. But I'm kind of nervous about it still, you know. I'm not so sure I the setup yet. But as we say, a lot of the players are not there. All right, seems like the game I'll go back and learn. All right, let me see where we are now. So look at this, people. Let me see if you can see it. Can I get it any bigger? And that's my problem. You can do the thing and too long. So don't know. I'm just not getting it big. Let me tell me if you can see it, people. Almost, don't know why is this going on like this. All right, I'm gonna read it out. All right, no problem, no problem, no problem. Too fine. All right, so as it relates to this now, as it relates to this, the Steve McLaren people, club and roll. First thing first, we come up. You see that light in yellow, right? It's a Jamaica manager. 24th or 25th. It's the 2024, 2025. July 31st, 2024. That is today. And he's in charge until we're not sure, expected after World Cup. So leaving coming to Jamaica, people, it is Man United, which is a technical coach, yes, or the assistant coach. So up to yesterday, he was the technical coach. But listen, I think I've said in the last show that Steve McLaren did not travel with Man United to, to the US. 1-1 people. I never see when Man U score, but it's 1-1. So we recognize that he never traveled with the club. That means something was into something. Remember I said that? Bill knew Mr. Jones, as sometime he had space room too. So he was the technical coach and also the assistant coach of Man U. Good? Now listen to this now. 21-22. Listen now. In the year September 2028, 2021 people, September 28th, yes, to June 30, 2022, he was Derby advisor of the management. So he advised Derby County, and that is Paul's club, and Dean Burton. People, in another 6 or so weeks, I'll have Dean Burton right here in the studio. Look out for that. Let me tell you now. All right. So Dean Burton, people, from Derby, that's where McLaren was advisor to the manager. He was also the technical director in 2021. In 2018, he was the manager of Queen's Park Rangers. All right? Tell you that. We soon go down to some bigger things. In Tel Aviv, he was advisor in Tel Aviv in 2017. So he travels, he travels a lot. He was manager of Derby in 2016. He was a manager of Newcastle in 2015. Again in 2013, he was also manager of Derby. He did that for 2 years before Newcastle. So he's a well-moved coach. All right. Now, in 2012, people, I think this was one of his most successful coaching aside. Yes. 20 FC. You know that in Holland, right? He was a manager and he won that league. Yes, he won the league I don't remember if it is twice, but that's won't get to the accomplishment. I'm just giving you where his jobs. Was manager there. 2011, before he moved there, he was at Nottingham Forest. In 2010, he was at Wolfsburg. You know, one of the things that I really can't understand how almost every year he has moved from one club to the next. How that is not the case when he come to Jamaica. All right. So again, in 2008, he was also managing 20 FC. In 2006 to 2007, people, he managed England senior team. Get that? And all of this, people, you can do it on your own and get the information. But I think he was unable to qualify England for the Euro. Was it Euro in 2006, 2007? And he had people like Gerrard and he had people like Lampard, big. But again, having those type of players, those caliber players, you have to be really strong to manage them. Not to mention with a FA like England, where sometimes like to put their nose in like coaching business, or the manager's business. So he's done. All right. And remember, so before he took over the job in 2006, in 2004, he was the assistant manager for England, So he moved the rank. So he was there roughly for 3 years in the managerial post. All right. He also was the manager for Middlesbrough in 2001. He was also assistant manager then too for England in 2000. Hey, listen, this man had a rank. Hey, this man moves big time to people. In 1999, he was the assistant manager for the great Man United. Yeah, man, he was the assistant manager, and he works under Sir Alex. He was Alex assistant manager. So he has learned a lot. He has worked with some very good coaches. He has coached some big players. Yeah, man. The media and the FA run England. He can't do what he wants. Hey, me, I can tell you, trust me. So I can imagine the stress that he has there. All right. So people, these are some really strong points. Big teams that he has coached and the assignments that he has. As I said, my problem with this is that he actually moves around a lot. So he have spent just a year with some clubs, and I don't believe, with that period of time, he would have gotten enough time to be or to put across his own philosophy and to ensure that he gains success. All right, all right. So he has traveled. He has some coaching experience. He has managed different players, and I've seen where he must have had um, players with, that will create a different atmosphere. For example, language barrier. And that is important, people. That's one of the things with Jamaica. Man, you are going with things, people. Yes? So therefore, having a lot of English-based players, I think that this may very well be good for Jamaica with somebody who have been in the team for so long. You agree are the biggest coach JFA Fire? Again, no. I don't agree that he's the biggest one because I think if you're gonna talk about a big coach, I've talked about persons who are already out there many times in the international scene. I said Al Grimson would have managed Iceland, took Iceland to the Euro, took them to World Cup. And in that part, he actually beat England, don't forget that. He also drew with Argentina. Al Grimson. And again, Schaefer has brought the African club team rather to the World Cup. So and he has coached many teams. So if you're gonna look at pedigree or look at what a coach has, in experience and over time and where they coach. Maybe in terms of high profile, Schaefer would have been the highest profile coach, in my view. My, all right? But you can say that. If you think that he is fine, maybe I say in the modern era. In the modern era, yes, he was, or he is. So, people, what I'm saying to this now, and if you understand where I'm going, and if you could see this, I want to say because if we don't manage this situation well, if we don't ensure that the little basic communication goes right, if it is that we're gonna have Steve McLaren doing a very good job, we have to ensure that he's comfortable. All right. Now, the question is asked: will he take his backroom staff? Tell me, will he take his backroom staff? When I got the information about Steve McLaren coming to Jamaica, oh, you say, look, the players he managed. Yes, yeah, I understand. I will look at that too. I look at that. Good point. Mhm. Good point, man. But that's not all for me. I think if you're gonna say profile, where they are coaching at the highest level. All right. All right, people. That's something I look and see if you say anything about the backroom staff. So there's an interview, people. So coming out of the official JFF, um, what you call it now, social media post. You see the picture that I start out with, people? I said I get it out of England earlier today. All right. But there is not much more information that I gathered. But initially, when I spoke of Steve McLaren, yes, he would brought along his backroom staff. There was a food for thought, and somebody private messaged me in the last show to say that the JFF would not secure a coach before September. Yes. And that thinking was based on how they are pussyfooting around with this coaching team. That's his basis on which he thought. And looking into it, he went on further to say that if they have not secured a coach, then the assistant coach who is there, Miran Garden, would have take charge of the team for those matches in September. Man, you again. Wow, lucky, unlucky. All right. To be the next to Alex, you have to have something. Hey, and sir, trust me. I guess you heard Paul the other night. He told us a whole lot about him. Paul know this man inside out in terms of capabilities and so on. And he would have said to us, I remember Paul said that if we get McLaren, it would be a tidy sum, but if we can negotiate well, it would be good for our country. And Paul is somebody who follow the Reggae Boys to the T. Yes. So again, I had a insight, get some insight with Dan Burton. Because there was some fake news in the people. And I said I want to get into that. And I wanted to say this to you until I heard otherwise. But this is not something that this is one of the information that I will say to you that it is not um talk to me now. It is not 90% accurate. But there are some coach listing in the was it in the short list? Many of us was blowing about these coaches, getting the job. But most of that was fake news, people. For example, I heard that Oli was not a part of it. That's fake news. So we don't know if the boss wants to say anything from that. I also heard. I also heard that Dean Burton was a part of it. Well, I get it straight that Dean said he has never applied. He was never approached. So he wasn't a part of it. But Dean Burton and many of our past reggae boys who have, done our coaching badges in the UK and so on, they're of the belief, people, that the JFF didn't looking, they had no intention of looking to any past reggae boys as a coach. Do you hear that? This is some information that I have got. So none of those coaches that you heard about, people are saying they were never in the race, they have never applied, and they were never approached. And this is one of the reasons why I really went slow. I never jump out and say, boy, this, that, because I need some solid information before I can go out there with them sort of argument. All right. So again, in another 6 weeks or so, we'll have the Burton and the Sadie Chris show. All right. Not just to talk about the reggae boy, not just to talk about him, but the holistic thing, a little pass, yes, his time with the reggae boys in the World Cup, what he's doing now, what is expectation another 2 or so years. These are things that we'll talk about. And prior to that, we'll have a few more, yes, on the show. Now, people, let's get back to this whole thing. If it is that we have our first game, is it the 6th of September? Coming up. That means we are expecting to see Coach McLaren very early here in Jamaica. Not just for a press conference, was to hold a local camp. Because now he has little or no time to familiarize himself with the players. Maybe he can have different meetings with those in England. Yes, just to familiarize, yes, so associate themselves with each other. Maybe through video calls, who knows? And maybe some of these players already know him. I said that because it is a food of thought that people believe that they will employ McLaren because he'll be able to negotiate or lure some of these players, young, exciting players that we are looking to, in terms of the Reese Nelson, the Mason Greenwood, all of those players. They believe that you'll be able to get them in the setup. Well, time will tell. Time will tell. Recently I did an interview with a local coach, very young local coach, and he said that he would love to see Ole with the wheel. I said, oh no, no Ole for me. But it is what it is. So my people, I'll come back to you very soon to let you know much more. I'll give you an insight. Yes, I'll give you an insight of what the salary may look like, of what his backroom staff may be like. And if the backroom staff is coming in, what will happen to the assistant coach presently there, Mr. Miran God? Tell me, will Miran God still be a part of it? Hmm? But you know what? Until then, we have a lot to do. People, the Jamaica Premier League. All right, my boss. But you know, I'm Travis, I'm not sure. It depends on what time you get home, because me not go very long tonight. I tell you the truth. Me a bit tired and me have a cricket match tomorrow. Long time me not really swing a bat. I even thought I can bowl a ball, but we have a match tomorrow, people. Down at Sir P's Oval. Don't I hear place me there tomorrow, RR. Yeah, man, that's Sir P's Oval. All right. So again, so remember now, Travis, know what the thing set, you're up on the road, but trust me, boss. That's the way it go, all right? So we can link up differently, but I don't know if I'll be on the show at that point. So remember, I did a show recently about the movements of coaches, both schoolboys and um, JPL. But one of the big story in the JPL is that Craig Butler has partner now with Veer United. So it's a, how you go now? Is it a Veer United Phoenix? How you go? You never know what they call it. If it is a Phoenix Veer United or the Veer United Phoenix. Veer Phoenix United. That's all? Somewhere along the line. That's the name. Big up yourself, local camp for what? First responder. What you say local camp for? Of course, but we have local players, bro. So if the fact is, if at this time, I know sure how many, we're not going to get some of these players right now, But what I'm saying, with things must go on, people. We're not going to get the overseas based players right now. They are in full training, they are in full preparation mode, yeah, with their clubs. Some traveling overseas with their clubs. So we can't just sit and wait. So those local players who we have in the setup, we have to work with them. And how we going to have them? The coach of ever camp, man. Trust me, respond. I tell you. Yes, Professor, trust me. Corey Goat cricket, my youth. Big cricket. I want to tell you, say, don't get me wrong, there's a cricket, we call it, you have a clubhouse, yeah? Cricketing. And yeah. Oh, the boss is me a text in respond. Yeah, man. So the clubhouse with a lot of past Jamaica cricketers, so past West Indies cricketer people. I'm just honored to be a part of, yeah, of the thing. Uh, confirmation. Yeah. So what I'm saying now, the cricket, yeah, man. I play in the midst of wave lines, Rowan Taylor, there are Morgan, Nina Perry. There's a whole host of cricketers, gentlemen. Right now, I serve you over to big thing. So as much as it's all very good, the man is serious about them cricket project. So all right. Liverpool for life. Yeah man, you never walk alone from East. We support my team. Travis, why may I tell you something God? Yeah man, for real man. I saw the case, which parish is that? Clarendon boss. Clarendon. So right at tread light Maypen. My parish that too, my brother. Yeah man. Why NWA as well, my brother? Never walk alone. Yes, so yes, so as we say, yeah man. So, as we say, the cricket thing they are vice question. And right now, it's only choreography we can play. We not play no what you call it, no competitive game. Yeah man. We just play enjoy ourselves, real thing. Yeah. Yeah, football kinda gone left me. I not tell a lie. So we stick with the cricket. Mr. P the cricket, alright. Can't manage the football. So people, as me say now, I'm expecting that very soon, yeah, we come with some concrete information. Yes, and this whole Reggae Boys new coach. Yeah man. Good solid information. Clear as that. Alright. Up to now. Yeah man. So local players early for 2030. Let the coach watch films. Hey, responder, you're not easy, you know. So, all right. Well, on the first responder. You're pulling you know. Light of mercy, cricket, always good vibes from. Yes, man. So, you're saying that those reggae boys, those local players that we have, what is it? The coach not have to work with them that way there? You don't need them in a camp? Then, no, no, when me I try to say, no, my boss, as much as we have a setup, what we need really is to ensure that, and even if you want to say 2030, what we need is to start to build our vibes, bro. That's what we need. We need to build our vibes. So the coach come in, work with him, have carry on the player them run around. Because sometimes the player them want to see them, want to see what coach have, what changes he can make, what mindset he can change around our national football. You understand? So what I'm saying is that we have to continue. We can't wait until the last minute to get the fans understand what I'm saying. We can't wait until the last minute to see some training going on. We can't wait till the international break, yes, before we can see a team training. So we think we need to have local camp. That's what I'm saying. And we still have local players in the setup, people. All right, your brethren, just respond to me, no, so far. All right. So, yes, Travis, I want to tell you, sorry, Chris, them cricket are always good vibes and fun. I tell you, big man, trust me, on that straight. At first responder, blessings. All right, so my boss, Paul, let me see if I can pass and just wake up, man. Ja, ja. Okay, okay, okay. Hey, people, pass him soon company show, see? So, when I come and give you all the questions now I ask now about, um, all the questions I ask about Sir McLaren, Paul coming on. All right, people. So just hold your breath. Hold your breath. But as me say, I'm working to get some, good info from my boss. So speed as me say. So more than likely, yeah, later in the week or even at the weekend, people, we'll have a little thing. We know now we're able to give me a long show, but just short because we want to get this thing clear. We want to get this thing clear. Yeah, so nice. So again, I come like the boss supervisor what you can say nothing more. So Peso, I don't know if you reach home, but Sir Paul will be on the show shortly for all these questions and so you on, yeah. Now, people, the other thing about I was just talking about the coach in the Premier League. So the merger with Phoenix and Veer, may have an issue with that. All right, it's not so much of the merger, but the involvement of Owen Hill. It seems to me like it's the professional body of the JPL who actually arranged that, what you call it now, that merger. Why is the professional body was so integral in the press conference? Me no know, I'm just asking. I don't know if it is the way to go. I don't know. Why is it that Owen Hill was so integral? What part the professional body played in that collaboration? Another interesting story, people. Another interesting story. It is, I was also informed that Craig Butler, yes, has engaged Lenny Hyde to be the coach of their United. But him not have no choice. After Craig Butler beat him, after Lenny Hyde beat you up, so Craig, at Travis, yes, brother, LFC, silent the noise. I don't listen. They look at my channel on nice, but you know, them silent. While people are coming, them I wait for years to report. People, as we talk, remember, say make sure so you like the show, people. Listen much. Yeah, man, we still can. Good. Happy for the likes and bless up. So, we say we are silent and nice. Me don't know no people, but you know, me as a man like this. Me talk the football like how I see it. Last year, I've said that we couldn't win the Premier League. Yeah, man, me see that. No matter how we did look, I was doubt winning the Premier League. We had a chance, but again, I think it is the big coach Klopp. I think it was Klopp's downfall why we drop off like that. Yes. First responder is saying you want to go down the same road as the last coach. How many from his camp made the team? Let the coach eat some rice and peas and curry goat and learn how decideful the oh Lord. No, 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 no. Hey, what you say? First responder. How many from this camp, from his camp? You mean how many from Hal Grim's camp made the team? I'm not 100% sure, but at least we see some local players. And local players who many of us were not expected to be there. Hey, me going to joke, you know. I just talk about this, you know. It's not just the JFF who deceitful, you know. The way you say it, you know. No. You know that I believe you had some influential people trying to influence Al Griffiths who he would not take up. And that caused some issues, people. Yeah. That caused some issues. Yeah, man, this channel, keep it 100. Yeah, man, for real. So, what may I try if you said though, on that part? While he will enjoy his curry goat, yes, he needs to be because as me say, you know, if we focus on the World Cup, you know, first responder, I still believe that we still need to, in the same time, yeah, build a little thing around the football. Because if you don't recruit your 12 men, not 12 men, 12 men, because we need to just be more than one. But if you don't recruit, because many of us have dropped off the wagon long time, you know, we need to get back on the wagon. And so we need to ensure that we see what the coach are do. And the coach start to, you know, get players motivated. Even if you say for 2030, not a problem. But we need to start that. Yeah, so that's where I'm going. All right. That's where I'm going for this responder. All right, people. 1 second. Let me just remind the people of what's happening. All right, just look at this. No audio, but just look. I'll be right back. Yeah. All right. So, this is what you say. May I tell you, no, bro. All right. Whatever you tell her, so me kind of lose that one there. It is keep it 100. Come, Paul, you need to jump in right now. All right, let me see what's going on, people. So anyway, Lenny Hyde will be the coach of what you call it now? Their Phoenix United. And Craig Butler, as you know, I don't know what party more play still, you know, if, because me not think Craig Butler can stay up on the sideline bridging and just be a manager for that team there. Me not think so. Craig too much in football, people. Craig have to coach. All right, coming up to you, my boss. All right, people. 1 second, my boss. I'm sending the link. I thought I did, but it not go through. All right, Mr. Paul. Right at your fingertips, sir. Oh man, how this? Hold on, Paul. How go on? Hold on. What's I don't know how go on this thing, man, but trust me, I get some idiot vibes with this computer tonight, man. Okay, nice. All right, so for all right, yes, boss, no problem. First, at first responder, can the fans get rid of JFF when they were elected by the Jamaican Football Constitution? No, sir. All right, answer that first responder. I like you have some constitutional affairs that you can talk about. So, people, let me just say this to you. I said that I could not confirm the appointment of the coach. But I must say to you right now, people, while it is already confirmed, this is Saudi Crest and the Saudi Crest show. It is now confirmed that Steve McLaren is the new Reggae Boyz coach. Again, it was already in the media. Yes, but as I said before, I am this type of person who like to get that first-hand information before I send it out. Yeah, man. Because I never have much doubt because I got some useful information early, sometime weeks ago, a week or so ago. I will come up and we share it. Yeah, man. But as it is Steve McLaren, people. I just get the confirmation. Good confirmation. Can't go nowhere else. Can't be any better. All right? His assistant is who? You have to take time with me, man. I'm not tell us I soon get that, bro. Hopefully, Paul can come in and give you a thing or two. All right? But let's go. Paul is coming in shortly. So let's see. No, for sure, not John Wall. Not John Wall, my boss. We can't. No, absolutely not. No John Wall, right? No John Wall. Me 100% sure it's a John Wall. You can imagine JF fire John Wall and then you're mad. Host, if Speed wants maybe 5 more players from abroad, what's the point? Start recruiting U20 players for the next cycle. Keep the camp for the youngsters. Point taken, man. Point taken. Point taken. All right, people, help me welcome.
Morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
Why?
Well, Paul, I want to tell you, let me welcome you. The guys are here waiting for you, Paul. The fans are here waiting to hear you because the news has struck, as you know. But sorry to wake you up, man. That's never
No,
the
no.
intent.
Well, Kevin, I'm of that age where, come the middle of the night, I have to make a visit. Um, and, and I just checked my phone, and it, he said, "Come on," and I was like, "Oh, okay." Evening, RR.
Yeah, man.
Evening.
You see the thumbs up I get, bro. Well,
So
I was here trying to give as much information as it is. As you know, earlier you'd have stated that McLaren is the man.
Mm.
How did you get your information? Where did you get your information from? It's just by searching or you get your first hand info part?
What about McLaren or about
Mm-hmm.
Steve Bruce?
McLaren.
Oh, listen, I don't. I don't want to drop names, and I don't want
All
to
right.
alienate nobody because
That's
at the
okay. That's
moment,
okay.
at the moment, my source, let's say that my source has said in about 6 to 8 weeks he may have something interesting to talk about, and he will come on the show.
Yes.
So I don't want to alienate him.
That's okay.
Um, but we did speak last night because I rung him. Well, when I rung him initially, he says, "Give me a call back in an hour because I'm just putting one of the kids to bed." I was like, "Okay, cool." Rung him back. We had a quick chat, and I was like, "So, you in the frame?" And he's like, "Not even been asked. Not even been asked." And I was like, "You're joking?" He says, "No, not even been asked." So it's like the old school manager merry-go-round that used to fill the gaps in the Premier League until Premier League got sensible and started to look for actually the elite managers in Europe rather than the old boy network from the UK. There was
Yes.
a time where if there was a vacancy, your Steve Bruce's, your Tony Pulis's filled every job and nobody had a shout. And then all of a sudden there was just like a shift, and everybody was like, no, 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 let's go continent and find good, real good modern managers. I tell you, what's interesting, um, Ara, what kind of system shall we expect? What with McLaren?
Yes.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's more about necessarily about the system because, as I said before, McLaren is a well-regarded coach. At a club level and also at an international level. He had some varied success with England in terms of the games they won, but he is well regarded as a coach. What it tells me, because this guy ain't moving for small change. So that would say to me that the Jamaica Football Federation must have some significant backers. And that's also something that my source discussed with me. And we joked to say when he used to play for Jamaica, how novel it would have been to go and buy a Jamaica shirt for like 100 UK pounds.
Yes.
Whereas that's what it costs now. Sponsored by Adidas, you would pay £100 unless it's on offer to get a Jamaica shirt. And so that tells you straight away that things are afoot in a positive, because you can't do anything at any level of the game now without some backing, some financial backing. So again, to attract him, I think it's a positive thing. And also what it means is there may be players who wouldn't have come to Jamaica to play for Jamaica who may come now, because what I would expect is a more, and this is no slight or reflection on anybody else, but McLaren is a well-established coach. He's very professional in what he does, and I would expect that to be brought into the structure in Jamaica international football. So for me, the only thing that can benefit is the players and the team. And I would presume, I don't know, but I would presume that he would have some impact and influence, not just on the Jamaica national team, first team men, but also trickling down the age groups. I'd imagine he would want involvement in that, because that's him. He's like a top to toe guy. So, yeah, yeah.
But Paul, it is strange though because his contract is for 2 years, right? A
To,
2 year
to be
contract.
honest,
Yes,
you
it's a 2 year
guys,
contract.
it's your evening, so you're across the detail. Um, I'm away with work. I'm in a hotel room. You can see the background.
Yes.
That's not my beautiful decor at home. Um, I, I'm not across the detail yet, Kevin. So you'll have to fill me in on that. I know he was one of the front runners, as was Steve Bruce, and it's interesting, that the Manchester United connection between both of those managers. But I didn't actually know that's happened literally in the last 5 hours, because before I went to bed, it had not been confirmed. So I'm guessing there's been confirmation in the last few hours that he's appointed.
Yes, and I've just got some confirmation out of the JFF that yes, it is.
Let me
Just
do my little.
just before you came on.
Wow.
You know.
So
While
it's,
I've
it's
seen it
literally,
in the media,
yeah,
I've seen it in the media earlier, but you know me already. Need to get
yeah.
some yes. So
Well,
people,
you've got the inside track.
not all of it, not all of it, but
Oh,
Paul, it's one of the things that the fans really want to hear you on. The fact that McLaren, and we have done some information on them already. I say, what kind of system shall we expect? I mean, from where you stand, your what do I say now? Your own view of McLaren, his coaching style. Is he more of a attacking coach, a semi-attacking? Is he more of a defensive coach? What type of coach? What type? And that's where maybe RR is asking you about the system.
well, the difficulty is, let's look at it. The last time he had significant success as a coach was with FC Twente in the Dutch league, and they won the league. Um, so, but like I've said before, I'm a little bit of a football snob. I didn't spend week in, week out watching Dutch football. I just heard some of the results and saw the success that he had there. Um, I can only imagine that they were on the front foot, because you can't win a league by being defensive unless you're Jose Mourinho, as you would do Chelsea. And let me think, when he was at Derby, I mean, well, the difficulty is, Kevin, it's not so much the system that he's going to play. A good coach plays a system based on the players that they've got. I mean, you have your football philosophy as a coach. Like two of my favourite formations are 3-5-2 and 4-5-1. But like 3-5-2, to play 3-5-2, you have to have three players at the back who can play almost as four players without the fourth player, if that makes sense. I.e., you've got one with pace, with ability, that can recover if we're counter-attacked. If you've got three players with flat pace, then you struggle, because when you get turned, you've got no recovery unless you've got a keeper who's playing on the
As a
18-yard
sweeper.
line as a sweeper, exactly, to squash the space. So very much so, it's about the players that you have that will determine what you can do. And that's also the skill of coaching, where you have got your philosophy in terms of, like for me, when I'm coaching, one of the first things I want to do with players is encourage them to retain the ball. If you've got the ball, the opposition can't hurt you. It's just that simple.
Sure.
And also, you're running the legs off the opposition as they're closing you down. So that's something I try and encourage in teams. But that can take, that can take a season to take a team that's not used to passing sideways and backwards to bring the opposition out of position. So the first thing he's got to do is have a good assessment of the squad, and the fact that he's been in negotiation for a while, I'd imagine he's already been looking at the team, and he's probably thought, hang on a second, I could make myself a hero here, because he's probably looked at no, seriously, he will have looked at the likes of Leon Bailey and thought, okay, he's in the squad, Mikel Antonio's in the squad, and he'd have thought, actually, I've got some resources at my disposal. You've got like the young lad Whisper, who's at Chelsea, who no doubt he'll come through soon. So he's probably looked at it and thought, actually, I might have something here. Because again, if we look at the Euros just gone, you look at we mentioned before, the teams like Georgia and Serbia and stuff like that, other teams from unfashionable nations, but they were fit and they were organised. And like I said, I think in the last show or before, sometimes you just need that. You look at Argentina when they won the World Cup. Anybody will say that they're apart from their goalkeeper, the other 9 players were nothing amazing, Nothing amazing, but they had a great goalkeeper and they had that little sprinkling of magic in Messi, and they won a World Cup. And sometimes that's all you need. You need, you had Messi who had the license to do almost nothing but play forward, and then the other lads did all his running. There was some selfless work that players did for him
So,
to allow him at the age he is to play on the international level. So the first thing he's got to do, and will have already started to do, I'm quite sure, is look at the players. And if he's got any common sense, one of the first phone calls he'll be making is to Leon Bailey to say, yo, okay, that administration's gone. It's me now. Yeah. I've got
no,
that Premier League.
hold on, Paul, hold on.
Go on.
That administration is gone. Remember
Well,
now,
not the administration, but the
the
coaching.
coach.
The coaching set it. You
Yes,
know.
but right now it is the JFF who sanction or suspend Leon Bailey.
Yeah. Well, that's just foolishness. You
So
know.
he'll have to say to the JFF, no, I need Leon Bailey.
Correct. And I would imagine, I don't know, but if I was him and I was coming into this post, one of the first things I'd have said to them, yeah, I'll come, but you need to sort this out with this boy because I need him in my team. That's one of the first things I would have said. In fact, I'd have made it a non-negotiable. I said, whatever your issue with this boy, deal with it because I need him in my team. You want me to be successful? I need this kid in my team.
I don't think it should be all that difficult though, because the suspension have no timeline on it, so they can call him back as soon as they want.
Exactly. It's just a paper process. Listen, that's been put in because somebody's ego's been struck.
True.
That's what that's about. And okay, some people will say, oh, these privileged footballers, but you know what? In the same way, like Roy Keane kicked off in the World Cup with Mick McLaren, ex-Wolves manager, who was running Ireland at the time, and he wasn't happy with the setup, and he likened it to like going from Manchester United up here to like training with a pub team, and he's like, I met a bit at World Cup, and we haven't got bibs and we got markers and this and that, And listen, if a man's got levels, can't fault a person for having levels and standards, and if he's saying, right, I want this to be raised up, I want this to be raised up, so that we can actually do something. Because I mean, you look at Ireland. I can remember which World Cup was it? Was it USA '94 or something like that? Ireland got to like the last 16. I think it was the USA '94. And small nations in a knockout tournament can surprise if you can be organised. And he'll get Jamaica organised, but we need that little sprinkle of magic. And we're not blessed with, say, the resources in terms of number of people to pick from, like say USA.
Yes.
Got a massive continent. So when we have talent of that level, and let's be honest, we go on about Bailey a lot, but that's because this guy, if he plays his cards right, to me, he can be a world-class player in a couple of seasons. There's no doubt about that if his progression goes right. So you can't turn down a player of that quality. They don't come around for smaller nations all the time. But that could be the difference. That could be the difference between, you look at Wales, they had Bale. And look at what Wales managed to do. They managed to get deep into a couple of tournaments for a nation, small nation, small nation. So, yeah, RR's asking how many staff Steve's going to travel. Well, I'd imagine he'll be bringing people with him. Yeah, I don't know his entourage for sure, but I'd imagine, again, in his contract, he'll be bringing people with him because, again, when you're a coach of that level, you're going to want people around you that you trust. I mean, if you look at Klopp leaving Liverpool, he took his whole staff with him. Him gone, staff gone. They travel as a unit, and that's the thing now in football. When you're one of those elite managers, it's not just you; it's your whole crew. Because again, when you go out on the training pitch, and you say to guy, right, do this, do this, do this, you want to know they're going to deliver it, and they understand the principles that you want to put into the players. You can't always trust that if you're then coming, because at some clubs you come in as a coach or a manager, and there's staff that are incumbent, and you've got to work with them. Well, unfortunately, some of those staff might not be up to the level. And then you've got to try and get them to coach at a level that you're trying to, well, not trying, but you work at, and they can't do it because they haven't got that level themselves. But you look at most of the top managers, when they go, their whole crew go with them. They don't just travel alone. So, I mean, I'm quite sure he'll be tapping up some of his old colleagues that have worked with him. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, man, like, I don't know, it depends. It depends what challenge they want. But you've got some of the coaches, the Manchester United set, younger coaches, like, say, Michael Carrick and stuff like that. You might try and bring him along because, again, for your coaching, it's a different experience. And what you've got to think of is what a person's priorities are as well. Let's remember that, you know, footballers have families too. So when you take a job, it's never just about the footballer. I don't know if you saw recently the lad, I think he left Aston Villa and went to Juventus. But what also happened as part of his contract, his girlfriend, who plays professional football, was also signed by Juventus at the same time. So this is where we are now. It's not just about the one player. It's, you know, like, again, people said one of the reasons Harry Kane delayed moving abroad was because the age his kids were at school and family issues. He didn't want to leave London just yet. And then time clicked and there's him gone, you know? So those things you also have to consider for a professional footballer or any elite athlete is the impact it has on their family as well. So that may be a determining factor. First responder, Bailey will be an issue. Yeah, but it's an issue that needs resolving, bro, you know, because he's that good. You know, it's you know, without making a big deal, it's no disrespect to any other Jamaican player, but in my opinion, he's Jamaica's Messi. He's the guy that can make the difference in a game. You know, you've seen what he's done for Villa over the last 2 seasons. The guy's at times been unplayable, and very much so. Not just him, but very much so. His performances have been part of Villa's success. But again, that ties in nicely with the difference of a good coach, because as much as it hurts me to say, Aston Villa had Steven Gerrard, Liverpool legend, love you, Steven. However, pretty much the same group of players under Unai Emery. Look at what they've done.
But
pretty much the same group of players.
Fairness to us here, who would have seen, like, for example, first responder would have seen Bailey's an issue. While Bailey have light up or lit the Premier League, he has not basically lit up for the Reggae Boys. Yes, and the expectations are high as it relates to that. But again, he's a very good player. We'd love to have Leon Bailey, a very sensible and mature Leon Bailey in our team that would have, you know, leave some of these ego as well outside. Because it's a clash of egos that we're having here in Jamaica, to be honest with you. Of
course it is.
And I believe, as a player, you have to respect his decision, but you also need to respect not just his team in terms of management team, but the country that he represents.
Well,
so it is very hard on him. I know it's very hard on him, but you know, you definitely, the criticism most times they are true.
I can't disagree, because again, if you have the privilege of being a professional footballer, then with that comes a level of responsibility, because you're in the public, public eye, and how you conduct yourself is key. It's absolutely key. So again, I can't disagree with that. But the flip side is you've now got, you know, for the lads playing in the Premier League, you've got millionaire footballers, and you've got to know how to motivate them. And part of motivating a millionaire footballer correctly is having a figurehead that they can respect. And I wonder sometimes if some of the coaches that JFF have had, players have looked at and think, sure, you know, serious, because, you know, if you're going to international football, in some way, shape, or form, you're thinking, right, I'm playing at a higher level now. It's international football. This is above my club level. So surely you're going to want something that looks at least as good as you do at club level, if not better. And if it isn't, then you're thinking, hold on. So I'm going to fly 9 hours. I'm going to have whole heap of physio and rehab just to feel fresh. Then I'm going to sweat myself to death for a few days. Then I'm going to run around on a hard pitch. And I'm going to get no thanks. These things you have to think. Because, again, unless they're getting what they get when they're over here, some players will be like, do you know what? I don't need the hassle. Look at Ben White in England. Ben White had a falling out with one of the coaches at England, didn't come to Euros. And England were missing exactly what he could give in the defensive area. But he was like, I'll have a summer off. I'll spend time with my family. And that's the thing with international football. You're not obliged to play. And so you have to have, when I say structures, I don't mean like the JFF, let them do what they're doing. Again, like you say, egos. Well, get over yourself because you're costing yourself one of your best players. And there'll be other players as a result who look at that and think, I don't want that. You know, players who've maybe not made it for England but could offer something to Jamaica. RN Hall. Oh, yeah. Just tuning in. Phone was charging. Good evening.
All right.
Good evening.
First responder, yes, I know. Leon hasn't brought his brilliance to Jamaica, you know.
And probably, again, let's look at this. So I use the analogy of Aston Villa because it fits because that's where he plays. Again, if you look at Bailey now to when Gerrard was there, you look at Villa as a team when Gerrard was there. And it hurts me to say this because, again, Stevie G, Liverpool for life, love you, love you, love you. However, that's the difference between a good coach and a great coach. Because a great coach gets the best out of people, gets the best out of their players. And, excuse me, maybe he hasn't been motivated. He hasn't been inspired by the right coach yet. But I can promise you, this boy is made for international football. He's made for tournament football to do those magical things that we've seen, especially last season. I mean, season before, he was a little bit inconsistent, but you could see something was coming. Then last season, he was tearing up trees. And there's, if anything, in international football, you often get a little bit more time and space to be expressive because players respect that you're at that level, so they stand off a little bit. And so that suits him amazing. That suits him brilliantly, you know? So, again, that's the first thing. If I was McLaren, which I'm not, you know, but if I was, the first thing I'd be doing is saying, look, guys, yeah, I'll come on board, you know, pay me the money you're going to pay me, but I need this guy. I need this guy. So you need to sort this out. Yeah, you need to sort this out. And that's where I'll be going first. First stop, first port call, sort that out. Because again, love some of the Jamaica boys, love them, but he's a little bit of a level above those. You know what I mean?
I know that's your Jamaican style.
You know what I mean? I love quality players. I love footballers with skill. I mean, I was at infant school, and they had a bring and buy sale, and I picked up this book, and it was 10 pence, and it was Play Football with Pele, and literally, I used to read that book cover to cover. Now, great thing is there wasn't much writing in it, but there was lots of pictures. And literally, I taught myself how to dribble and drop a shoulder, how to pass short, how to pass long, because it was a tutorial. I'll bring it on one time. I'll dig it out and I'll bring it in one time.
Okay.
And so he was my hero for years. I mean, I never got the chance to meet him in real life, but he was my hero because just played with the freedom, played with the ability, and just played with a little bit of magic. And when you see clips of some of the stuff he could do, and again, I love players with skill. I you know, because I grew up just you know where you could. Because again, those days, 70s, 80s, you didn't have YouTube, so it was like little flashes would come on the TV, like, oh, it's Pele, wow,
true,
you know. So again, I love when a player can express themselves with football. It's an amazing thing. I mean, being able to play football at any age and at any level is an absolute blessing. It's a God-given talent. You know, it's just one of them things. You know, not everybody can coordinate their brain with their feet. You know, that's
It's
why
strange.
these, you know what I mean. These guys that do get paid so much. Yeah, lots of EPL players on RN or who we are. Lots of EPL players never played in a World Cup. Players have to prove themselves for their respective nations to be in the limelight. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's true. You know, and the thing is, I mean, that's a really good point because again, let's look at the production line of players that England now have. I mean, for many years, people said, "Oh, England are going to struggle to have a national team because all the foreign players that are coming in are going to block the pathway for the young players." And I've always thought, no, the opposite will happen because what will happen is those English players that are good enough to get into a team will then have to be excellent. And so they will force, you know what they say about something that's like shit sinks,
Yes.
but the good stuff floats. And so that's what's happened. You look at the likes of Phil Foden and others, Ollie Watkins, they've had to push through. In the past, yeah, going abroad to buy a player. Now players are pushing through to that level, and you see the consistency that England have. Okay, they've still not won anything, but they're getting deep into tournaments time and time again now. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. So again, now you've got a situation right with the right person at the figurehead of the club, well, the international team. You may find that there's players who think, you know what, there's so many players in the England setup or just below the England setup that I'm not going to get in front of, but I've got Caribbean descent. Let me look at that and get some international football that way, you know. And again, with the right coach, it might attract players that wouldn't have come before. So Peter Mystic himself, LB's not suspended. The selection of players is. There is a little nuance there. LB just needs to announce his availability in writing once he's ready. Okay. Looks
All right.
like Peter Mystic knows something we don't know, Kevin. Hmm?
Based on
Yeah.
comments that coming out of the JFF. Paul, I want to ask you this question though. You know what our Jamaican setup is. There's I have two questions to ask before the show is closed. One,
Mm.
do you think have you seen any other player? There are some names being called out of England who may fit, or may be ready to play to represent Jamaica at the World Cup based on qualification. So we talk about the Mason Greenwoods, Reese Nelson. What have you been hearing in and around your neck of the woods in terms of those boys?
So the Nelson one I've not heard very much about, but Mason Greenwood, there's a lot of chatter about. And whew, I mean, listen, they say they say in the media that all news is good news. And listen, the boy's going to bring news with him. If it happens, it's controversial. But I tell you what, he's a baller. He's an absolute baller. He's naturally left-sided, but he's a player. He's a player, and sometimes, right, when you've had adversity and you've had what might feel like the world against you, you're ripe to be a Jamaican national player because you'll feel like you've been the underdog and you'll feel like you've been persecuted, as many Jamaicans do. And that's a perfect fit because then you've got all the motivation you need when you come up against international teams to say, okay, we're small. What's that phrase? Which one is it? We're small, but we're Taloa. You know what I mean? Yeah. So again, with that adversity, that might be the motivation that says to him, you know what? England ain't showing me no love. And you got to think from a media point of view, even if he gets playing at a regular level and consistently, I can imagine that there'd be a very, very brave England manager would take Mason Greenwood into the international fold. So it could be a really good shout. Yeah, because
Hold on. Are you
go
saying
on.
that if the manager should take Mason Greenwood, he has to be a brave man?
Yeah, because it's a controversial one. Because obviously, the charges have been dropped, but what he's been accused of outside of the game Um, I can't ever see an England team taking him because the like charities that deal with domestic violence and things like that in the UK they'd just explode. I mean, at the time he got just where allegations were leveled before charges were leveled, the explosion in the media over here was horrific. You know, it was massive. It was absolutely massive. So again, it's one of those where, you know, can you just look at it from a footballing point of view? And you had that boy for West Ham messing around with somebody's cat or even his own cat, and people were up in arms saying man needs to be dropped. And David Moyes come out and said, "I'm not dropping him. I ain't dropping him. Don't care what your animal campaigners think. I need my centre back at the weekend.
Exactly.
I ain't dropping him. I ain't dropping him because sometimes things are a football matter. They're not a societal matter. They're a football matter, and as much as these campaign groups have their right to campaign and support people, and that's great, football is a thing. It's a $1 trillion industry, and if it's about getting your best players on the pitch, sometimes you have to shut the noise out and say, do you know what? Make your protest, that's fine, but I need that boy crossing the white line.
True.
And that's the bottom line.
That's the politics of it. We don't want to get too much into that. A player like Mason Greenwood coming in, and it would have been two players now playing in that position. So you would have Leon Bailey to contend with, or vice versa.
Well, I mean, I would rather have the headache of the resource of those two players than not. You know, that's them for a coach to deal with. Have the problem to have to sort out two players of that quality. Have the problem. I'd rather have the problem. Does Jamaica guarantee a spot in the World Cup with foreign players? As much as it pains me to say, with a foreign manager and some, as I would call them, Jamaicans, i.e. British-born Jamaicans, as I am myself.
What you call them?
Jamaican, British-born Jamaicans.
No, explain that to us, because this is new to me.
Jamaican, yes, a phrase I made up. So, you know, just let me copyright that right there, sir. Yeah, so like, you know, what I've realised over the years is, even though I grew up in this country, my upbringing was in a Caribbean household with Caribbean values. I wasn't raised like an English person. If somebody says to me, "Paul, what nationality are you?" I say I'm British. I'm not English, because I've not been raised the English way. I don't have tea at 6 o'clock. I have dinner. I have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. English people have breakfast, lunch, and tea. You know, see there. I wouldn't spell it that way. I'll just put an F. You know how you spell Jamaican itself, and I put an F in a certain place, Jamaican. But yeah, man, we go with that. I like that. We'll copyright that, Jamaican. British-born Jamaicans. You know what I mean? They heard it here first. But no, there's a whole heap of us. And like, I mean, over time, you look at some of the players that have slipped away, the Raheem Sterlings, the John Barneses, born over your side, but played for England and not Jamaica. So, you know, yeah, I mean, again, you know,
All right, Paul, another controversial issue as it relates to. Listen, Aaron, you're going to leave out the Jamaican thing. We're not give it no spelling tonight. Paul, it's where your cards, man.
I know, sorry. It's more about how it sounds than how it's spelled. Yeah. It don't matter how it's spelled. Right. But I like how he's dropped it, you know. I like how he's dropped it.
So, Paul, there's a very controversial sort of reasoning going on in the football and in Jamaica in recent time. I started it on the show since night when I said I hope that we need to go away from that. But these English-based players, England players, Jamaican English players, the Jafaican as you call them, many persons here have been branding them as England rejects. So they are playing for Jamaica because England rejected them.
Okay.
What's your take on that?
Might be true, but does it matter? Does it matter?
Not
you
to
know,
me.
Because
they are Jamaicans.
Exactly. I mean, again, in some of the cases, it's not that they're England rejects, that England would have never got to England. Yeah. You know, and what you've got to think is, if they've been playing Championship or Premier League football, then with the greatest respect to the level of football in Jamaica, they're probably of a higher standard in some of their ability and their football understanding than some of the Jamaican players. And that's why then a coach will look at them. There you go, two Jamaicans, but they were born back home. But you know, again, I don't see that as a problem. Again, if we're looking at trying to find a generation of Jamaican players, whether it's British born, Jamaican born, or, you know, I don't know, born in Australia, but they've got Jamaican grandparents. Listen, it's what other teams. Okay, here's the thing. Let's look at France. Okay, most of France's team, if you trace their roots, they're African players.
True.
You know, they're not French. They're of African descent. Look at Germany. I mean, you tell me how many black people live in Germany. You know, but that's okay. It's
Interesting.
So, yeah, and I mean, Germany is a good one, because Germany don't have just like, I mean, they've got players of like Turkish descent that are German nationals. I mean, Hitler must literally be rolling in his grave. So it's not an issue. That's where we are in international football now. Football is such big business. Players are ambitious. They want to play not just club, not just European competition level, so like Champions League, Europa League, Europa Conference League. They want the next level above that. And if the only way to do that is to then go backwards through their heritage and say, hey, actually, my grandmother's mother's sister's brother's goat was from Jamaica, then yeah, I'm going to be a Jamaican. And I don't think that's a bad thing, because again, what's the Jamaican population in total? 3.5, 4 million tops?
Yes.
That's not a lot to pull from. That's not a lot.
It's very meager, because the age group would have been a whole lot of percentage in that. Because you have the females.
Oh yeah.
So we have maybe a few hundreds to pull from. Maybe 20.
Well, let's look at it. You take 3 million people, so you start out here. Okay. And then you condense that down to those that may continue to play sport, but not only continue to play sport, but actually play sport and have the physiology to be an elite athlete. Because that's what these are,
True.
Even playing for Jamaica, they're elite athletes. So when you condense that down, you've got a very small pool to pick from. And then you're trying to say, in that small pool, I want there to be quality and brilliance that can do something on an international level. So if you're going to turn down second generation, third generation players, well, if you want to open your doors and bring those players over to live with you in Jamaica, so it feels good, then do that, But I'm going to say, it might be controversial, but beggars can't be choosers. We can't be choosing. We haven't got a massive selection to pick from. You take away the Premier League players that are even playing now. You take away Mikel Antonio, who will run like an ox all day. Take him out your team, see what happens. You know what I mean? You see, when you've got nobody at the top of the pitch doing what he does, see what happens. Yeah, there's a work ethic that some of the English-born players have that is different to the style of play of the Jamaican-born players. And that's fine, because it's about mixing the style so that it's authentic and it's true. It's the Reggae Boyz, So you can't be too choosy. You can't, because, again, if you are, yes, there might be a player who maybe played schoolboy football for England or Wales or even Scotland, but they think, do you know what, I'm not going to get any irregular. But Jamaica have got in touch with my aunt, or my mum, or my agent, or whatever, and they've said there's a way I could play for Jamaica, and that's not a bad thing. If it brings success to the nation, that's not a bad thing, because, again, remember what you're trying to do. Anytime you get success as a team, what you're saying to the generation underneath that is there's an opportunity for you. Remember,
True.
to be something, you need to be able to see something that looks like you. You really need to do that. So don't even think about it, the impact it's having now. Think about the impact it's having in 2 and 3 generations of Jamaican footballers. Because if young people see Jamaica being success, and I'm talking about Jamaican-born children, they see Jamaica doing better in, is it the Copa America you have locally, and the tournaments, the equivalent of the Euros and the World Cup. They see Jamaica succeeding, beating the USA, as they used to do for a little period when my boy
Yes.
used to play there. You know what I mean? They used to stand toe to toe. I mean,
True.
I joked to the player's name who I won't mention. We joked, and I says, the period of time that you were with Jamaica was probably one of the more successful periods of time in recent times. Jamaica were pushing up.
Hmm.
They were pushing up, and qualified for a World Cup, if I'm not mistaken, during that period of time. So, again, it's like you need all the help you can. You really do. And listen, if you're going to take an English coach, why not take English-born players? Why not? I don't see the problem with that.
All right.
Because what? Yeah,
Let me just break you. Let me answer this question. So, Charlie Scarchat, bless up. I haven't seen this. This is the first time I've seen this name on the show. But if it is, this is your first time. Thank you very much for coming in and cheering. Yes, so he's asking, is it true that Clarendon has a new president for the FA? Yes, it is. So, the president was Johan Scott. He did not um, go back, he did not seek re election. And so, Delroy Green is now the president. Delroy Rumba Green is the president of the Clarendon FA. All right, he's a Clarendonian, of course, and he has business in Clarendon. He has done a lot in football. He's a former Garvey Massive football player, and I think Galaxy and all of that. So, a man of the side, yeah, man. So, bless up Rumba Green and congratulations on your victory. All right, continue, Sir Paul.
yeah. So, no, I was just looking at a press release on the BBC about McLaren.
Yeah, give it to
Um,
us.
yeah, so it's basically saying 63-year-old has signed a 2-year contract and will leave the backroom staff at Manchester United. The Jamaican Football Federation have said McLaren's target is to guide the Reggae Boyz to 2026 World Cup finals. So that's his target. The last World Cup appearance by Jamaica was at France 1998, where we were knocked out in the group stage. And McLaren has said he was extremely proud and excited to take his first managerial post since he was sacked by QPR in 2019. So, yeah, he's still been involved in the game, but obviously he's been in the background as a coach.
Yeah.
He said, I'll quote, had no hesitation in accepting a position that is ideally suited to me at this stage of my career, end quote. And he added, McLaren served as Sir Alex Ferguson's assistant at Manchester United before leaving in 2001 to take charge of Middlesbrough, where he won the League Cup in 2004 and reached the UEFA Cup final in 2006, which is often forgotten that he did that with Middlesbrough. He was appointed England manager as a Sven-Goran Eriksson successor in 2006, but was sacked after the Three Lions failed to qualify for Euro 2008. McLaren returned to United in May 2022 as a member of Eric Ten Hag's backroom staff, and yeah, it's good. It's good. It's a good appointment. Again, just to say, he's also said, his quote is, I wish to say a huge thank you to everyone at Manchester United for their friendship, help and support during the past 2 years. Prior to his return to United, McLaren had worked with Jamaica as a technical advisor at FIFA. Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Wow.
Open quotes, I quickly came to realise the potential the country possessed, McLaren said. In the years since, that potential has grown significantly, and there is every reason to believe that with continued hard work and development, a bright future lies ahead, end quote. So that's interesting, because I didn't even know that, but the fact that he's been involved with Jamaica as a technical advisor in the background for a while he obviously had a plan and he's paved his own way
Yes.
to get in the job that he has now. And like I said, what he's looked at is look at the players that are coming through that are with Jamaica now, but also some of the players that I may be able to make use of or convince to play for Jamaica that may not have played for Jamaica. So, and I mean, again, I'm not pessimistic. Are the Jamaican players in the JPL who never get called to play for the national team Jamaican rejects? Whew.
Hey, what lad? Hey, Peter Mystic, how you come from? Big man, you need, they're going to invite you to come on the show. You know, you're really. Hey, listen, this is a very, very good question, and not just a question. I know it meant more than just a question to you, Peter Mystic. But you're so correct. Never, right? And of course, excellent question, Yad. But look at this. If not, why, why then we cannot call the British players English rejects. You see, and people want to say these things. And I'm telling you, people, I'm not fighting nobody when name them one call, but I'm saying if you are mature enough, if you are Jamaican, if you are patriotic, and if you want to see the reggae boys reach to the highest level in football, people, internationally, football is such a big business.
Yeah,
We
man.
need to get not just what we believe, we need to think further. We need to start seeing further than our nose, people.
It's true.
So this whole matter of English reject, I don't appreciate that. Again, if it is your view, your view. But why is it a big deal? When in the past, the same English reject, according to some of you people, have made us proud into 1998 World Cup. Why is it now?
Exactly.
Big thing.
Exactly.
Trust me, Peter.
Exactly.
You lick it, you lick it, you lick it. I tell you. Hi, Peter Mystic, all principals and teachers in Jamaica all attended the same schools as the JPL and sprinters. Listen to me, Master Aaron. Let me tell you, man. You see, it's the ego in we know. We are saying patriotic, we need to see our local players play. Fine. But until you can prove to me that our own local players, people, are of the standards and can play to compete with international teams or players. That's what I'm asking you.
Yeah.
Many of us watch the JPL week in, week out, and we curse. Because our players, they don't look good. They're not up to standard, and we curse them. Many of us not even blaming that the pitch that they're playing and would have given rise to their poor performances. We don't look at these things. But because
Exactly.
we're not satisfied with their outcomes, they don't look that as attractive as how we see it happening in the EPL. And we continue to believe that a third world country like Jamaica should be playing like a Manchester City, should be playing like a Liverpool. No, you don't even see Spain playing like a real Barcelona. Well, we have seen it once. Once that,
Well, Kevin, let me come in there a little bit because
yes.
it's such a good point that you raised. But like we spoke about a couple of shows ago, this is about infrastructure and this is about building. It's about legacy because, again, if you look at if we go with England for an example, England were failing to get out of the group of tournaments that England were in a low place, and the FA did a consultation, and I can remember being approached as a coach to feedback and give some opinions about what was wrong with the game. And I mean, this is going back 15 odd years now. As a consequence, St George's Park was built. Yeah, because the FA used to kind of centre out of Wembley Stadium, but St George's Park was built, which was a purpose-built home for English football. But not just for English football, the administrative side, for the England football team, men, women, disability, all there. At the same time, the FA then also looked at coaching, and they created something called the Licensed Coaches Club. And I can remember when I did my first badge in 2006, it was very shortly after that the Licensed Coaches Club was launched. And that gave you, as an amateur an amateur coach, access to online teaching, learning, coaching setups, and all this resource that, as an amateur coach, you never had before, unless you went to a library and hired books or went to W.H. Smith and bought books. And even then, it wasn't interactive. So the first thing they looked at is, right, we need to start from the bottom and raise the standard of our coaches at grassroots. Because guess what? Premier League and international players don't just come from a Premier League and international tree. They come from grassroots football.
Of course.
So the first thing you have to do is improve that, because this is what they've done. If you watch any Spanish football, even a team that's about to be relegated, look at the technical ability of those players. The ball comes over, first time trapped, control. Head up, second time, second touch pass. If you try and do that with English players in the Championship, half of them struggle. Half of them struggle to play within 2 touches. They'll take 3, maybe 4. So the technical ability on the continent is much higher. Now, the other thing the FA looked at was resources. They realised that every winter in the UK, especially now with global warming, believe it or not, sorry, won't get political, but every winter in the UK, you've got about 2-3 weeks where it rains or it snows or pitches are unplayable. The grass pitches are unplayable. So again, on the continent, when you look at what they've got over there, 3G pitches. So football's played come rain, come hail, come snow. So in the UK, they've started to roll out with funding from the Football Foundation, which is like a charitable body that's co-funded by the Premier League. They've started to roll out more and more 3 and 3.5 and 4G pitches, which can play in all weathers. Therefore, there's not a break in football. But moreover, you as a coach can guarantee a facility where you can coach from summer through autumn, winter, spring. But the kids can play as well. So they've done that as well. And then again, they made adjustments and revisions to the structures at St George's Park, which has meant that England are now where they are in terms of success. And it's taken a generation. And so you're absolutely right, Kevin. If you can't play football on a pitch, that while you're playing, you're more bothered about brooking your ankle on a rabbit hole than you are about the ball bouncing, you're not going to be excellent. You can't be excellent. You can't be excellent. So the infrastructure is so important. Pitches, coaches, and it starts by you try and pull up the figurehead, which is the Jamaica national team, because that's what everybody's looking at. But at the same time, the structures below, you have to do the work on. And my only hope is if there's the money to bring in somebody like McLaren at the top, that his oversight is also about not fixing, that's the wrong word, but also raising the game, raising the standards of football at the grassroots in Jamaica, because those are where the next Leon Baileys, the next Dion Burtons are coming from. And whether they're born and bred or it's their mum or their dad, whoever it is that links them to Jamaica national team, people, I don't mean to burst your bubble, but there is not enough to just look at the Jamaican players. There isn't. You could do that. You could be a Jamaican-only team, and you ain't going to get anywhere. I'll be honest with you. I'll call it as it is, because there just isn't the breadth of talent at the moment. It's not to say that it won't come, but there's certain things that have to be put in place for that to come through, and that will take almost a generation of players to do that, because of the cycle it takes for them to go from being 6 years old and being coached well and the right way, eating well, resting well, learning all the stuff they need to learn, and hitting 16, 17, 18 at a standard where, this is when Jamaica will know they've got it right. When a team in the Premier League sends a scout over to Jamaica to look at players on a regular basis, that's when you know your player development is correct, because then you're creating players of an international level as standard. Yeah, that's when you know you've got it right. Okay. So, that's what the aim needs to be. What we've got.
But Horace is saying again, why only Burton, Hall, Simpson, and Earl got all the praises for France 98 qualification? Boyd and company were not a part. No, sir, I'm not sure that that is so, Horace. Not at all. I don't think so. One of the things that you're probably missing right here, Horace, is that Whitmore, the baby gardeners, or goalkeepers, Warren, and listen, they got a lot. But the topper, we ask them, man, They got a lot about a talk, man. The thing about these guys that you mentioned, because after World Cup, people, you're still hearing much more about them. You see that even mentioned Bibi, and Bibi was one of the big talking point coming out of World Cup. So I'm just saying, you probably have to look at it right now. Who are the footballers who gone to World Cup you're here talking about? Those guys are still on the scene doing something else. Yes, Boyd used to have a lot of talk, but you know as much as I do that a lot of things went down as it relates to some of our locals. And the fact is, we recognize, and you can't deny that, people, we recognize that at that point we were doing well, but not to the scratch we want to go further. And so good sense prevail, and we're getting some of these English players that I've gotten before. I mean, I don't want to call any names. They were not really up to scratch.
It's true.
But we were,
That's true.
many of us too, we were fine, of course. The problem that we're having now, people, we have not learned much. We have not gotten any further from 1998 to now as it relates to football. The other countries has been growing, developing while we are basically below where we were.
Yeah.
So that's what the thing is. And you responded here again, Oris. I disagree with this too. You're saying to Peter Mystic, the English players are good players, no doubt about it, but not good enough to represent Jamaica.
That's an opinion. That's an opinion.
Yes, it is. But let me ask you, Oris. Let me ask you. Give me 3 players in Jamaica, locally born players who are playing in Jamaica. Yes, that are playing at higher levels and are better than those English players that we have. And let's
Brilliant
have
point.
that discussion.
Brilliant point.
Yes, we were just having some hiccups along the way during France 98, just like Argentina. So what? Yes, the hiccups were there and we accept that. But what did we do? We find solutions to those hiccups. Yes. And of course, believe it or not, those English-based players brought a lot more, what do they say, not just experience or exposure, but a sense of maturity to our football. Professionalism too.
Yeah.
Paul,
And the other thing
hold
is,
on a second. When Paul came, what Paul did for Jamaica's football, no goalkeeper, no defenders were easy. They could play out that ball at their own ease. Paul run them to frazzle. They have to get the ball out. We did not have those type of players. And we developed that sort of robust playing now and put teams under pressure. Don't forget that. All right.
So, I mean, again, it's yeah. Listen, it's an opinion, but what you've got with the English players, with my Jamaican friends, is they bring notoriety to Jamaican football, you know. And again, 98, that's gone, that's done. We're talking about the now, and football is huge business. Football is social media. Football is marketing. It's all of those things, and it's not to say that it doesn't help Jamaica to have players who are playing in the Premier League. Of course, it helps Jamaica. Of course, it helps Jamaica. Jamaica wouldn't have gone for Steve McLaren, an ex-Premier League coach, if they didn't feel that that would help Jamaica. So I think the kind of facts prove the case. And absolutely, as you say, Kevin, bringing in players that are playing week in, week out in the Premier League or the Championship can only bring professionalism to the players that are playing at the highest level they can in Jamaica. It's not their fault they're born in Jamaica. There's no bad thing about that. That's where they were born. But where they suffer is if the football structure in the country isn't where it needs to be, then there's almost like a ceiling as to where they can get to. And that's why you then have players leave Jamaica and come to Europe, you know? So, again, that's only a compliment, the fact that they then have to leave and progress again. But let's look at it. Jamaica, on the international stage, Jamaica is not the smallest country on the international stage. There are teams on the international stage who have a smaller population than Jamaica. I think there was one team, I forget which one it was, that I stumbled across where I was like, bro, that's not even much more than the population of Birmingham in the UK. And they're on the international stage. And their ranking is higher than Jamaica's. So, listen, get organised, get fit. We've got a good coach now. Maybe a controversial appointment for some. Let's hope he doesn't come out on the touchline wearing an umbrella, because that would go down well. But then he might be to keep the sun off him, because, he ain't got as much melanin as some of us. So, we'll see how that rolls. He might make a joke of it, own the process, you know what I mean? Come out with an umbrella and say, look, what are you going to say? I'm in Jamaica, man.
We call him the umbrella man.
That's it, the umbrella boss.
So, Oris, as you are saying, yes, I understand. But the fact of the matter, Oris, I just alluded to the fact that the sort of professionalism they brought to the team and how it helped, yes? You're saying that, remember, Burton Hall, Simpson, Earl all came into a system. There's no system in the team presently.
And that will be addressed. That'll be addressed by McLaren.
As we're saying, I'm not saying there wasn't any system. We probably just don't like the system that Hargreaves play. I don't. It's a defensive sort of system. It's a wait and see sort of system. It's a sort of coward coaching system.
Yeah.
So I didn't like it personally. But to say there's no system, I think there is, but maybe not to the telling that we'd love it to see. All right. And as you may mention, trust me, remember during the 1998, there were a lot more players that we were trying to get, but we couldn't get them.
Yeah.
So if we were allowed to get these players, then we would find out that most of the Jamaicans that you're talking about would have pushed aside.
Mm-hmm.
As Paul said, 98 all pass and gone. Let's go right to the present. All right. So, Paul, getting to the end of the show, there's a thing I heard some people ask, I don't remember if it's RR, but somebody asked that they heard that McAnuff, or Joe McAnuff, would be coming in as McLaren's assistant.
Oh, Lord, because we spoke about that. The person I cannot mention, we spoke about that too.
All right.
And my comment was, well, he had a good career in the championship. Oh, gosh. I'm just making rods for my own back. I really am.
All right. We'll leave that until the time comes.
No, it's cool. Listen, football is about who you know, not what you know sometimes.
Yes.
And if there's a link there and he's done his badges or he's working through his badges, listen, you've got a lad like Rose Senior who's had to go over to Europe. He was a fantastic coach with Derby, did fantastic things with Hull, but they sacked him, and he's had to go. He's had to go to Europe, and you know what, right? It's hard. It's very hard for black ex-players to get an opportunity. Very, very hard. And so if that opportunity presents itself, take it, because we don't know where McAnuff may be as a coach in 5 and 10 years' time. He may be, McLaren 63 years old, signed a 2-year deal. Okay, that will make him 65. Yes. Now, depending on how successful the team is, he might want to go again. He might be like, sure, man, I'm done. You don't know. But for me personally, whether I'm in work or I'm outside of work and I'm doing my coaching team, I'm always looking at succession planning. So I'm thinking, have I got somebody alongside me who, if I have to step away, they can take the reins? And that's what McLaren should be doing as well. He should be thinking of the now, and he should be thinking of the next step. I hope. I mean, again, it's not like the guy needs the money. He's comfortable off. He doesn't need the money. So I have to hope that he's coming because
he's pretty healthy.
Oh, come on. The England manager, I think the last contract Southgate has was between £5 and £10 million a year. You know, I don't know that McLaren was being paid that when he was England manager, but because of where he came from in terms of Manchester United and so on so forth, even back then it probably wouldn't have been too far away from that. You know,
But Paul, you're
Mm.
saying that Gary Southgate was getting 5 to 10 million pounds per year?
I believe so, yeah.
But I've seen where McLaren as an assistant coach was getting between 9 to 12 million pounds
Yeah,
as an assistant.
yeah.
Interesting.
Because his stock's greater. McLaren's a better coach than Southgate.
Is that so?
Yeah, 100%.
But would you say
100%.
Southgate has more success than McLaren?
So Southgate's had a better crop of players.
You think these players are better than the Gerrards and the Lampards?
100%. 100%. Because the problem that England had during that generation, the Gerrard, the Scholes, the very thing that England needed was playing for Wales, which was Ryan Giggs. If we'd have had Ryan Giggs, who played schoolboy football for England, England would have had the natural balance across the midfield, which would have made them amazing. But we never, ever got that right. We'd put Gerrard on the left, we'd put Lampard on the left, even put Scholes out on the left sometimes. And we saw at the Euros, when you put Trippier at left back, as good as Trippier is...
That is one of the most disastrous squad I would think that any manager could have selected. No left back going into a major tournament.
And look at the difference. A 60% fit Luke Shaw comes on. Look at the difference that England looked. Look at the balance it gave the team straight away. So this is where, and I think that McLaren, or I hope he would be brave enough to think, oh, okay, there's no one Premier League, there's nobody in JPL. Okay, let me look at Championship. Let me look at the Championship. There must be, say, for example, the problem's a left back. And left back's a specialist position because the number of naturally left-footed players that get through to the highest level is limited. So you've got a small crop to pick on, a small crop. But when somebody naturally left-footed comes through, and again, look at the Euros. Before the Euros, and for about 2 seasons, the press in the UK killing Cucurella, killing him. His hair, this, he can't play left back, he can't do this. And the ball that boy played with his left foot for the goal that Spain scored. Amazing. True. I heard some commentators after that game, left back of the tournament, Cucurella, possibly player of the tournament. I'm not thinking, hold on a second. 2 or 3 commentaries ago, you were killing the guy.
Yes.
Killing him.
Just want to have a say, yes?
See it there? You know, glory hunters. Glory hunters. But no, it's again, and this is where football's a tough one, because Southgate could and maybe should have been England's most successful manager. You could argue he should have won 2 trophies in his tenure, and he didn't. But he's had the Phil Fodens of this world, the Harry Kanes of this world, you know, at his disposal, and other players left at home. Raheem Sterling left at home. Jack Grealish left at home.
Well, that was my surprise, Jack Grealish.
Well, Kevin, listen, when you can leave those players at home, yeah, this is what I'm saying, the embarrassment of riches he had, as disposal, and to not win a tournament, that's a travesty. But in terms of coaching, McLaren's a better coach. You ask anybody in the business, they'll tell you he's a better coach.
I'm happy for that. Finally, final question to you. And I want you to think about it before you answer. Will Steve McLaren reside or live in Jamaica?
Will Steve McLaren
lives in Jamaica? You think he will
live in Jamaica?
Yes.
Well, it's quite fair.
My topic for tonight, the coach must reside or live in Jamaica.
It's only a 9-hour flight, bro. I'm on your side where I'm like, if you really want to deliver success for something or somebody, you need to get a feel of that club, that team. I mean, this is one of the criticisms that was often levied at Jose Mourinho, because it didn't matter who he was coaching in the UK, he would still live in London and travel. He wouldn't move to that area and move to Birmingham. Is that Birmingham, Jamaica, or Birmingham, UK?
UK. We're saying that he needs to have a camp. So I was saying that you need a local camp to, climatize, to get the local players interesting, to start to get the fans upbeat, moving
Yeah.
around with these guys, because we need to get back to where we were a couple of years ago. We need the vibes. We need to get our stadium full for September 6th. And I think it needs to be here.
Jamaica let's talk baseline. Jamaicans, we're athletes. We're born athletic. We love to run, we like to kickball, we love to play cricket. Okay? Sport is part and parcel of our DNA. It's in our history, it's in our legacy. So you've got athletes to start off with. Then can you find a coach that will make them better? For me, like I've talked about it for 2 shows now, structure. The only way you can really have real influence on the structure is to be here and to almost treat the international job as a full-time job and be going into the parishes. Yeah, unfortunately, him and his entourage getting over the potholes, but going into the parishes.
Come on, Paul. The potholes were good experience.
Well, listen, it's lucky that your car's got a stiff enough suspension, bro, because Lord Jesus, man. I mean, that was an experience in itself, But joking aside, yeah, man. But joking aside, he's got to get out into the districts. And you imagine you're a grassroots coach, right? And the national team coach comes to see you and your team and what you're doing, or even if they don't come themselves, they send a coach. Or maybe they make themselves accessible via a Teams meeting where, like, in a couple of weeks' time, I'm meeting with a coach educator from St. George's Park, who's doing some development work with local coaches. So literally it came in last night, a WhatsApp invite to meet at St. George's Park in Derby on the 5th of August. And we're getting together as local coaches, and he's going to be leading a session while coaching a local team and giving bits of knowledge, sharing knowledge. You imagine that he sends somebody who opens himself up to the local coach and says, look, at this time, jump on Microsoft Teams or Google Chat, whatever, and talk to me. Tell me what you need. How can I help you be better? What do you need? If he really wants people to buy into him, he needs to stay over here. But what you got to think is, he's a millionaire. So he's only going to stay for a maximum of 6 months because of the tax implications. So that's going to have to be something that's balanced. But look, listen, I was on holiday, what was it, June? I was in Jamaica. Why wouldn't you stay in Jamaica? I mean, come on, as long as you miss storm season, then you're good, But yeah, he needs to be on the ground. He needs to be in the country that he's managing for a period of time. Yeah. That's got to happen. You can't be doing this remotely because, again, as I say, you need to be in touch. You need to be able to influence. You need to be walking around and thinking, yo, this pitch ain't good enough for a national team. Tear up the pitch. If that needs to happen, tear it up. Put pitch down. So you can't do that from Manchester or Cheshire or wherever you're staying. You need to be in the country. And as I say, he ain't going to be there 12 months of the year, I would have thought, because of tax implications. But he needs to spend time in the country. Yeah.
Easy, man. Say if you bench top baller, no question. What do you call the top baller? You mean Paul top baller? LB? Anyway, people, Paul, it have been 2 hours and 34 minutes. I have planned that I should have gone an hour and a half. But because of you, and we couldn't do without you tonight, the fans are asking, they want your input. And so, it's very important and that we waited on you. And so you have made the show what it's normally be when you are here. But Paul, I'm going to tell you this, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to have a JFF representative very soon. And I would like for you to be on show that night.
Yeah, man.
We'll give you enough time. And
yeah, please.
Yes. So we can get into the meat of the matter to see where we are going, to see if we can get a full idea of the goals and objectives of the JFF in the short term.
Yeah.
in the short term. So, people, before, let me just ask Paul to give his closing remarks. Fact that we now have a coach in Steve McLaren, and now you'll hear more from Paul because he believes in Steve McLaren. People, I can tell you that. Your final comments for the night, Paul.
Well, as I say, I think for Jamaica Football Federation, it's good news. For the Jamaica national team, it's good news. And the objective that's been set in the press release of qualification for the 2026 World Cup, I think that's achievable. I think that's achievable. There's a lot of work that's got to be done. Um, but the way I see it, Jamaica to the international stage is like a Wales or a Scotland, where it's a small nation, and to get to that World Cup finals, we've got to punch above our weight. But it's entirely possible. But the thing that we've got now is a coach with pedigree, real
Yes.
pedigree. Not somebody from, I don't know, Norwegian football, or you know, this guy's got pedigree. And okay, his CV, there's some bits and pieces in there where people might pick and poke fun, but again, if you speak to people in the business, they will tell you that Steve McLaren is a good coach, one of the best coaches. His managerial has been, some people say sometimes his management of the whole bit is not as great, but in terms of his coaching side of things, um, on the pitch, people and players I speak to, he's a great coach. He's
Well,
a great coach.
me I go mash up. Hey, Paul,
Go on now.
Randy. Randy saying, good show, Saudi and Paul. You guys make me miss my bedtime in the morrows. Because
Evening, Randy.
fake hands. Randy, you need to type in the chat, Randy. You can't go and like you and sit back and enjoy yourself. The show and not cheering. Respect that you're there, my boss.
Oh,
A lot of people, I heard Randy ask the question earlier, Paul, in another group setting. If you think, I think he was mentioning Bruce, if you'd manage the sunshine and, the heat and so on. You think they
what,
can
Steve
play?
Bruce?
Yes. But I'm going to put it to you now as it relates to McLaren, one of the Steve.
Well, yeah, because it's still gone to a Stevie, and a Steve related to Manchester United. It's funny, isn't it? I don't know if there's anything in that, but there you go. Could just be coincidence. But will he handle the heat? Well, he's signed a contract, so he ain't got a choice now. You know what I mean? He ain't got a choice. So
That's true. That's
you
true.
know, we're, we're not gonna move home games to England, are we? So Jamaican home games are played in Jamaica. Do you know what I mean? So, as I said, he's not going to need an umbrella. He might need a parasol. He ain't going to need an umbrella, um,
The
unless it's
umbrella
storm season.
boss. We'll
Yeah,
see
so
what
what?
happens.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. So, people, it was a wonderful night. Thank you very much, R.N. Horace, man called Horace from out of Canada. R. I see you get break and also you're full of talk. Blessings, man. And I want to big up, Peter Mystic. Yeah, I want to big up Pessoa. I want to big up Dan Johnson. I want to big up um, who else was the first responder. I want to big up everybody who was on the show tonight. Earlier we have who we see again. Let me see if I can pick up that one person that came in. Jeremiah was very early as well. Bless up yourself, Jeremiah. We can't find out, there's a person, I never picked up who it was, but I'm sure it's somebody who acquainted with JG asking, oh, Ashanti, bless up yourself. Yeah, man. He was asking me, this is the question Ashanti asked me, if I'm not posting JG Monday training session. That's my team.
Oh, is
You
that
know?
your team? Is it?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. See
Oh,
to
is that where you were when you called me the other day?
Jonathan Grant, bro.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So I'll post that Ashanti. So bless up yourself. Yeah. And
Oh
again,
no.
people, hopefully I don't leave out anybody tonight. I want to say thank you very much. And you'll be here shortly. Remember, I said that I have a JFF representing very soon, and I'm sure you don't want to miss that show. And also, in a few weeks' time, a very, very interesting guest coming out of London. So not Sir Paul this time around. You will see, you will never miss Paul now because he'll be here as a mainstay on the Saudi Crest Show. So thank you very much for joining. Even those who have not um, participated in the chat, I appreciate your time and thank you very much. Until then, this is where we say goodbye and good night.